Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Alderman Marcus Report, where Alderman Marcus comes from time to time and reviews some of the things going on in the city for us. And I want to thank you for doing that, Alderman.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. The first thing I want to cover is this proposal, hit the newspaper, Alderman Marcus' proposal to review the city positions paying more than $100,000. According to the newspaper, it's dead. Now, I was interested in one of the comments here. The committee members previously, this is the committee that killed it, previously said the proposal bordered on micromanagement, was time-consuming, and would interfere with human resources duties. Sounds to me more like a runaway bureaucracy than micromanagement. I mean, there's a distinction between the two. One thing is you're actually getting down there and hiring a person. The other is you're just looking at policy.
And I think you're absolutely right. But let me start out by saying that the article in the Journal-Times is simply wrong. The proposal didn't die. The proposal reached a compromise. And the compromise was that the city administrator agreed that all department head positions and above would be reviewed by the Finance and Personnel Committee and sent on to the council. And that would happen before any search or any hire. So we did succeed in the large portion of what I was concerned about. The comment that you made where the paper quoted committee members, actually it wasn't committee members, it was committee chair Q.A. Shakur, who said that the proposal bordered on micromanagement, was time-consuming, and would interfere with human resource duties. The alderman and I simply disagree. The fact of the matter is, George, I agree with what you said. This is an issue of policy. When you're talking about people making more than $100,000, and according to that same news article, 150 city positions pay over $100,000. That's not micromanagement anymore. That's setting policies. And the goal, as I stated it at the committee and at the council, was to look at opportunities where we might be able to consolidate positions or potentially put a position in at a lower level that might report up to a different person. The idea being, are there ways to save? And instead of looking at the lowest paid employees, which we seem to be willing to do, the idea here was, let's look at the highest paid employees and see where there are opportunities for consolidation. And remember that this would only come into play in the event of resignation or retirement of an individual. So this would have come into play at the Department of Public Works opening, and it would come into play at other similar kinds of leadership positions. I still think it's important. I think that the proposal as submitted was a strong one, but I think that the compromise, which the newspaper left out, but was in the council and committee minutes and agendas, is in fact a reasonable compromise, and at least this way we'll have public scrutiny of department head and above positions.
Now, didn't something like this come up with the replacement of Rick Jones at DPW head, where some of us felt like we didn't need to hire a new DPW head. We could have promoted either of his what do you want to call them, subheads, you know, his deputies, the assistant commissioners, and the result was we got a new DPW head anyway. How effective is this going to be? I mean, is this just a show of, look, we're going to check this out, or is it really going to have some meat to it where we can get in there and have something to say about it as taxpayers and as the public?
Well, certainly my hope is that there's meat in this, that the city administrator will fulfill his promise, and I have every reason to believe that he will, and that there'll be public scrutiny of these openings before we have any searches, before we have any people lined up. And as to the DPW specifics, I would say, you know, as a member of the Public Works and Services Committee, I've been extremely impressed with Commissioner Yellen, who was hired. I think we got an outstanding Public Works Commissioner. So my concern about that particular position was a policy issue, not an individual issue. I think he's an excellent individual.
Well,
but
I'm not
was
talking
there,
about that either.
Right.
I'm worried about the money. I'm worried about the
understand.
$150,000.
The question is, was there an opportunity, for example, in that role, to leave the two assistant commissioners responsible, okay, for the areas that they have responsibility for, and perhaps not even have that third position? Now, by law, you have to have a commissioner of public works,
Right.
but we could have designated one of those two people, both of whom meet the statutory requirements, and simply said one of them will have the title of commissioner of public works, but in fact, both of them will report to the city administrator.
And when they came to the budget hearing, all three of them were there.
Correct.
You know, so it's not like one of them was eliminated or anything like that with the new DPW head. It seems like they could have had two people there at the budget hearing, and we eliminated $150,000 in expenses, which would have done something about your bus rides too.
Yeah, we would have been able to restore the bus service. But, you know, the claim made by the city administrator was we need that third position because of the responsibilities of the jobs. That case was really never made at council.
Exactly.
And my view is that the purpose of what I've asked for here is to require that the city administrator come to the Finance and Personnel Committee, come to the council, and make the case for why that job needs to continue.
That's exactly what's going to happen. You're going to have that boilerplate statement every time. This is a necessary position for the responsibility reasons or whatever.
Right. And then I think that's the responsibility of the council to question. Our job as aldermen would be to question the city administrator on any of those openings, and not stop asking questions until we were satisfied that the position is or is not justified.
Well, I hope we get responses like that, and not like
so.
Alderman Shakur said that this is micromanagement, because it's not micromanagement.
Right, micromanagement is going out and hiring the people.
Yeah.
Not setting the policy for which position should be filled.
Right, and we certainly need to do something about the tax rate in this city, and we need to do something about the cost. All right, well, thank you very much for that. We're going to take a break here, and then we'll come back with our next topic, which will be the Civic Center we want to talk about.
All right.
Some expenses there.